What if everything you thought was a fixed problem was actually an invention, like something you created? And what if you had the power to invent a completely new reality?
That is such a powerful opening question. It really gets right to the absolute core of what we're exploring today.
Absolutely. So today we're doing a deep dive into The Art of Possibility by Rosamund Zander and Benjamin Zander. Our mission really is to unpack their framework. It feels pretty radical, actually, for personal change, organizational change even. What makes their take so, well, unique?
I think it's the synergy, the
Yeah.
combination of where they come from. You've got Rosamund Zander. She's a psychotherapist and executive coach. So she brings this deep understanding of human systems, relationships, how we tick.
Okay.
And then there's Benjamin Zander. He's the conductor, world-renowned, with the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra. And his work provides this incredible living metaphor for leadership, for creativity in action.
Okay, I see the connection. Psychology meets artistry.
Exactly. And together, they don't just give you ideas. They offer 12 specific, actionable practices, ways of thinking, ways of behaving that really challenge some fundamental assumptions we all make about reality, about success, about what people are capable of.
That blend sounds fascinating. So at the heart of it, they argue life is kind of governed by one of two big opposing mindsets. Can you walk us through those?
Definitely. The first one, which they say is sort of our default setting, is the world of measurement. Just imagine a world defined by scarcity. There's never enough. It's all struggle, maybe even peril. It's characterized by constant comparison, competition, strict hierarchies. And in this world, success often feels like, well, it's zero-sum. If I win, you have to lose.
Okay, the world of measurement. And what's really driving us when we operate there? Is it just fear or is it more complex?
Fear is a huge part of it. Fear of failure, definitely. Fear of not measuring up, of being judged, left behind. And within that, you're operating from what they call the calculating self.
The calculating self.
Yeah. This part of you is always anxious, always scanning, checking your status, measuring how you're doing, strategizing just to survive, basically. The whole conversation in your head is about problems, limits, who's to blame. It creates this downward spiral they talk about. Focusing on the problem just seems to make it bigger.
Wow, that sounds exhausting, honestly.
Hmm.
So how does the second mindset, the universe of possibility, offer an alternative?
It's a sharp contrast. A totally different reality. The universe of possibility isn't the default. It's a framework you consciously choose to step into. It's generative, it's infinite, it's abundant. Resources aren't seen as limited.
So abundance instead of scarcity.
Exactly. And action in this universe isn't about winning or losing against others. It's about contribution. It's about creativity, collaboration. This is where the central self operates.
The central self.
Right, which they describe as naturally compassionate, creative, deeply connected. The feelings here are more like joy, grace, awe, passion.
Okay, that sounds like a huge shift. But how is it different from just, trying to think positive? What's the real distinction?
That's a really important question. It's not just slapping on a happy face. It's about fundamentally changing the game you're playing. Instead of setting a rigid goal and stressing about hitting it, you set an inspiring context, a broad possibility, and then you act within that. It literally allows new pathways, things you couldn't see before, to open up.
Changing the game, not just the strategy. Okay, so if this universe of possibility is where we want to get to, what's the key? What's the first step, the gateway practice?
The absolute foundation, the real gateway, is practice number 1, realizing it's all invented.
It's all invented.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea that our perception of reality, the problems we see, the limitations we feel, isn't objective truth. It's a mental construct. It's an invented map, as they put it, not the actual territory.
Okay, that idea that our problems are invented, that could feel a bit challenging, maybe even invalidating for someone struggling. If it's an invented map, what's the most, say, liberating part of that idea?
The most liberating part is exactly this. If the story, the map you're using right now isn't working for you, isn't serving you, you actually have the power to invent a new one. And it's not about delusion or pretending problems don't exist. It's about consciously reframing, seeing the situation from a different angle that suddenly reveals new options, new paths forward. It's like intellectual and emotional freedom, unlocking real change.
Can you give us an example, like for an individual feeling stuck?
Yeah.
How would they apply "it's all invented"?
Sure. Let's take someone feeling trapped in a job they don't like. Their old invention, their current map, might sound like This job is a dead end. I have no skills anybody else wants. I'm stuck.
Right. Very common feeling.
Very common. So applying it's all invented means first maybe uncovering the hidden assumption there. Perhaps it's my value is only tied to this specific role. Then they consciously invent a new framework, a new story. Like, okay, this job right now, it's actually my laboratory. I'm using it to figure out what skills I do enjoy using, and it's providing the funds while I explore totally new career paths.
Ah, okay. So the circumstances haven't changed, but the meaning and the feeling around them has.
Yeah.
From trap to laboratory.
Precisely. The experience shifts from being trapped to being an active exploration. It's empowering.
That's the great reframe. And how does this work on a bigger scale? Like for an organization, maybe a tech company hitting a rough patch.
Good question. So imagine a tech company. Their main product is losing market share. The old invention, the default story might be, our product is becoming obsolete, we're falling behind.
Okay, panic mode.
Right. But if the leadership applies this practice, they might dig into the assumption, wait, are we just a product company? And they could invent a new possibility. Actually, we are a customer problem-solving company.
Ah, broader.
Much broader. Suddenly that opens up all sorts of doors. Maybe they develop new services around the old product. Maybe they pivot to a completely new product that solves that core customer problem differently. They're not locked into the old definition anymore.
Okay, so it's all invented is the foundation. And the book then lays out these 12 practices. You said they're not just ideas, but actual ways of thinking and acting. How do they fit together?
Yeah, they're presented almost like a developmental journey. They build on each other. As you start to integrate one practice, it kind of naturally makes space for the next one. They form a pathway, really, guiding you from that default world of measurement towards this chosen universe of possibility.
Got it. So let's dive into a few. There's one that sounds really different. Giving an A. What's the core idea there? It sounds almost too generous.
It does sound counterintuitive at first. Giving an A is about deciding in advance to grant people an A. And importantly, giving yourself an A, too.
An A for what?
An A for being, for potential. It means you consciously choose to interact with them and yourself as if they are already the capable, creative, contributing individuals they have the potential to become. Instead of making them constantly prove themselves or live up to some external expectation you set, it completely flips the dynamic.
Benjamin Zander's example with his music students really brings this to life, doesn't it? Can you remind us how he did that?
Oh, it's classic Zander. He saw his students were just paralyzed by anxiety, by the fear of getting a bad grade, fear of not being good enough. So he did something radical. He announced on day one, every single one of you in this class gets an A for the year.
Just like that.
Just like that. But there was one condition. Each student had to write him a letter, dated for the end of the year, post-dated, and the letter had to start, Dear Mr. Zander, I got my A because... And then they had to write, in the past tense, describing the person they had become, the actions they had taken, the growth they had achieved to earn that A they already had.
Wow. Okay, that's brilliant. So the A isn't the reward you chase after. It's the possibility you step into and fulfill.
Exactly. It shifts everything from expectation and fear to possibility and becoming. How can we use that ourselves? And how could a company use it?
Well, for you, individually, you could literally write yourself that post-dated A letter. What would it look like for you to have an A year? Focus on the growth, the attitude, the way you want to be, not just a list of achievements.
I like that.
And for organizations, leaders could totally rethink performance reviews. Start with the assumption, everyone here is an A player. How do we support them in fulfilling that? Or imagine, say, a software team always late because they're terrified of shipping bugs.
Right.
The manager could say, okay, team, you are all A developers. An A team learns incredibly fast. From now on, our key metric isn't 0 bugs. It's speed of learning and iteration. That removes the crippling fear of mistakes and actually speeds things up.
That shift from perfection to learning. Yeah, that's powerful. Okay, let's look at another one. Leading from any chair. How does the book redefine leadership with this?
The core idea here is that leadership isn't about your title or your position on the org chart. It's an action. It's the act of awakening possibility in other people. Awakening possibility?
Yeah. Benjamin Zander's insight as a conductor is perfect here. He points out, I don't make a sound. His power isn't in his own performance. It comes entirely from his ability to make his players powerful, to make them shine.
That's a profound shift in perspective for a leader.
It really is. He said it changed his fundamental question from, how good am I being tonight, to, who am I being that my players' eyes are not shining? He even started putting a blank sheet of paper, the white sheet, on every musician's stand before concerts, inviting completely open feedback, anything they wanted to tell him.
Wow, that takes courage. So how can someone without a big title, lead from their chair?
For you, as an individual, think about meetings or situations where you usually feel like you don't have much influence. Maybe you feel a bit powerless. Instead of just staying quiet, leading from any chair means you could ask a clarifying question that refocuses everyone. Or you could offer a genuinely different perspective. Or simply voice support for someone else's good idea that might be getting
So it
lost.
was about contribution, not authority.
Exactly. Even a junior person in a meeting can lead by gently asking, "Remind me, what's the core purpose we're trying to achieve with this project?" That can shift the whole energy.
And for organizations, how do leaders cultivate this? How do they encourage everyone to lead?
Leaders can actively create other leaders. One way is by making themselves less essential, by genuinely delegating possibility, not just handing off tasks.
Delegating possibility, what does that look like?
Imagine a manager who's always the bottleneck. Everything needs their approval. They could say to their team, "Look, my job is to make you powerful and successful. For anything related to your area, you make the call. I trust you. I'm here for support and resources, not to sign off on every little thing."
Right.
That empowers a team, makes things move faster, and frees up the manager for bigger picture thinking.
Creates capacity all around.
Yeah.
Okay, now for one, that just sounds like common sense maybe. Rule number 6. What's the practice here?
Yes. Rule number 6. The core concept is delightfully simple. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. And the punchline, the second rule is, there are no other rules.
Right, I remember the story they tell about that.
The parable, yes. With the two prime ministers in a crisis, one looks utterly stressed, the other is calm. The stressed one asks how he stays so calm. The calm one says, "It's simple, remember rule number 6. Later, the first asks, "What is rule number 6? Don't take yourself so damn seriously." Aha! And what are the other rules? There are no other rules. The rule itself breaks the spell of seriousness.
So how does not taking ourselves seriously help? How does it connect to that central self you mentioned?
Well, think about when we get really serious, really intense. It's often that anxious, ego-driven, calculating self taking over, right? Needs to be right, needs to win, terrified of looking bad.
Definitely. Defensive.
Exactly. Lightening up, invoking rule number 6, allows that heavier energy to dissipate. It creates space for the lighter, more creative, more connected central self to show up. So for you, individually, maybe notice the signs when your calculating self is running the show, getting defensive, needing the last word. Then mentally just whisper rule number 6 to yourself. Try finding the humor when you mess up. Instead of beating yourself up, maybe try thinking, how fascinating. Wonder what I can learn here.
How fascinating. I like that. And how can teams or organizations use rule number 6? Seems like it could diffuse a lot of tension.
Oh, massively. You could literally make it a team norm. Imagine a leadership team stuck in a really tense budget meeting, everyone defending their turf. The CEO can pause things and just say, "Okay, everyone, let's just take a breath. Remember rule number 6.
Just saying it might break the tension.
Exactly. Maybe there's a chuckle. The energy shifts. Then the CEO could reframe, "All right, let's start defending our little kingdoms for a minute and start inventing together what's truly best for the whole empire." It's an immediate perspective shift from seriousness and conflict to lightness and possibility.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the practice of being a contribution, this seems to really connect back to the whole idea of the universe of possibility being generative. How does focusing on contribution change things internally for us?
It's a fundamental reorientation. It shifts your focus away from, am I succeeding? Am I failing? What's in it for me? And towards, how can I make a difference here? What contribution can I make to this situation, to these people?
So it moves you beyond self-concern.
Precisely. The practice itself has 2 simple steps. First, you start your day by declaring, maybe just to yourself, "I am a contribution." And second, you then throw yourself into life as someone who makes a difference without being attached to knowing exactly how or why. It's about the intention and the action.
How would someone apply that day to day, especially if they're feeling maybe anxious or self-focused?
For you individually, it means consciously looking for ways to contribute, even small ones. A genuinely kind word. Sharing an idea that might help someone else. Really listening when someone needs to talk. Maybe at the end of the day, you could even jot down 3 ways you were a contribution.
Like a gratitude journal, but for contribution.
Sort of, yeah. Or take that example of feeling anxious at a networking event. The calculating self is worried. Do I look okay? Do I sound smart? Gotta get leads. Being a contribution shifts the focus. How can I connect people here? What helpful information can I share? Who seems like they could use a friendly conversation? You'll probably find you leave feeling energized instead of drained.
That's the great practical shift. And for teams,
Yeah.
how does this idea change the definition of success?
Well, leaders could start meetings by asking, okay, team, what's the most valuable contribution we can make this week? It reframes the whole purpose. And you can redefine success metrics to celebrate collective impact, not just individual wins. Imagine that sales team example again, the one driven by internal competition.
Right, cutthroat bonuses.
If they reframe their purpose to being a contribution to our client's growth, and maybe shift incentives to reward team collaboration and shared client success, suddenly they're sharing leads, helping each other on complex deals. The whole dynamic changes, and often the overall results improve dramatically.
Collaboration instead of competition. Okay, one more practice to dive deep on. Telling the WE story. This sounds really important for teamwork, for relationships, for getting past conflict. What's the core shift here?
It's exactly that, shifting the narrative, moving away from you versus me or my department versus your department, and consciously focusing on us. It's about finding the connection, the shared goals, the collective success story we can create together.
So individually, how do you do that? Especially when you're disagreeing with someone.
In a disagreement, the instinct is often to dig into your own position, right? Defend your turf. Telling the WE story means you consciously pause that. You start asking questions about the we. Like, okay, putting our specific ideas aside for a second, what's really important to us here? Or what kind of outcome would feel like a win for both of us?
Like the couple arguing about vacation.
Exactly. Instead of getting stuck on, I want the beach, well, I want the mountains. They could shift to, okay, what's the shared experience we actually want to create on this trip? Maybe it's relaxation, maybe it's adventure, maybe it's quality time. Once they identify the we goal, suddenly a third option, maybe a lake house in the foothills, becomes possible.
Finding the shared ground first. And for organizations, how does this help with things like silos or departmental conflict?
It's crucial for breaking down those silos. Leaders can intentionally create cross-functional teams and frame their work around a shared we goal. When conflict inevitably pops up between, say, marketing and engineering, instead of letting them battle it out, a leader facilitates a conversation focused on, okay, forgetting our departmental hats for a moment, what is best for us as a company? What serves our customers best?
Reframing the conflict as a shared problem to solve.
Precisely. It shifts the whole conversation from a resource fight or blaming session into a collaborative strategy meeting focused on the success of the whole entity.
Okay, these 12 practices really seem to offer a comprehensive toolkit. And there are others in the book too, right? Maybe just touch on a couple more that round out the picture.
Absolutely. They're stepping into a universe of possibility, which is that conscious choice for abundance over scarcity we talked about. Then there's the way things are, which is about radical presence, accepting reality, facts, feelings, even the stories people tell, without fighting them, just acknowledging this is how it is right now.
Important for moving forward. And I remember giving way to passion.
Yes. That's about wholehearted engagement, letting go of the self-consciousness or barriers that hold you back from throwing yourself into something fully. And related is lighting a spark. The idea that true enrollment, getting others excited, isn't about convincing or selling. It's about generating an infectious spark of possibility that draws people in.
And being the board. That one sounds intriguing.
That's about taking 100% responsibility, seeing yourself not as a victim or pawn of circumstances, but as the context, the board on which the game of your life is played. You set the context. And finally, creating frameworks for possibility is about consciously designing the environment, the language, the vision, the structures that make positive outcomes more likely, almost the default.
Wow. Okay, so they all really do weave together into this coherent system for looking at the world differently and acting differently within it.
Exactly. It's a complete framework.
And it's clear these aren't just nice ideas on paper. They have real impact. Benjamin Zander's own work with the Boston Philharmonic seems like the prime example running through the book. How did he embody this transformation in his leadership there?
He fundamentally shifted his role from the traditional hierarchical maestro figure to someone whose main job, whose power, came from awakening possibility in others, as he puts it. Practices like giving an A, getting rid of that fear-based grading, and his white sheet feedback system, they dramatically changed the atmosphere.
You mentioned orchestral players sometimes being less satisfied than prison guards.
Yeah, it's a startling statistic from some studies, highlighting the potential for high-pressure, critical environments. Zander's approach led to measurably higher morale, more engagement, but also, critically, a higher level of artistic performance because he was tapping into the collective passion and intelligence of every single musician, not just directing them.
That's a really powerful validation. Can you share another story? Maybe one that really pushes the boundaries of what we think is possible.
Oh, the Eastleigh Community School project is incredible. This was a school labeled failing, located in a really tough part of London. Lots of challenges. Instead of buying into the negative story about the kids' potential, Zander went in and basically reinvented the game for them using these principles.
How so?
The peak moment, the one that really captured it, was when he invited a 10-year-old student named Anthony, who had never conducted before, to conduct the world-class Philharmonia Orchestra in Beethoven's Fifth
A
Symphony.
10-year-old conducting the Philharmonia? That's audacious.
Completely. And the impact was profound. For Anthony, obviously it just shattered any limiting beliefs about what he was capable of, but more than that, it acted as this incredible spark for the whole school, the whole community. It was a living demonstration that the perceived limits were just inventions, and something extraordinary was possible if you dared to create a new framework.
It gives me chills just thinking about it. And Rosamund Zander's work also has examples, right? More on the personal therapy side.
Yes, very intimate, powerful ones, like the story of the family therapy session where a father kept talking about the wall between him and his son. It felt so real, so solid to him. Roz gently helped him see that the wall wasn't an objective thing out there. It was an invention, a metaphor he was speaking into existence, giving it power.
So by changing the language.
By consciously choosing to stop using that metaphor, to stop building the wall with his words, and instead inventing new language for connection, he was able to start dismantling the barrier in reality. It shows how deeply our language shapes our perceived world.
Absolutely. Now, beyond these powerful stories, Benjamin Zander has taken these ideas into the corporate world too. You mentioned big companies. What kind of feedback have they given? Does it translate?
Oh, definitely. The validation seems quite strong. For instance, the first vice president of leadership and performance at Merrill Lynch, Rosanna de Maria, she called his teaching magical and said the results were nothing short of exemplary. She called him a catalyst for excellence.
High praise.
And the CEO of Coca-Cola Hellenic, Dimitris Lois, used the orchestra metaphor directly. He described Zander's training as helping them transform their journey into beautiful music we all played in harmony. It clearly resonated as a way to improve corporate teamwork and performance.
It really does sound like a needed perspective, maybe an antidote, especially when morale might be low or teams feel stuck in a rut.
I think so. Wyndham Destination Network explicitly said it was a timely antidote to that downward spiral feeling, reminding employees that their attitude, their outlook, is ultimately a personal choice, an invention. And you look at the sheer breadth of companies he's worked with: Google, Microsoft, IBM, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, the World Bank, GE. He's even spoken multiple times at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Wow.
It shows the wide applicability. He uses that orchestra metaphor, that framework of possibility, to tap into something universal, that latent passion, the creativity, the desire people have to contribute, and helps organizations overcome the barriers, often self-imposed, that hinder productivity and fulfillment.
So wrapping this up, it's clear The Art of Possibility isn't just, a feel-good book. It presents this coherent, really actionable system for making profound changes. And that core idea that our reality is invented and we can choose to invent one of possibility, that's the engine driving all 12 practices.
Absolutely. And for you, listening as an individual, these practices are tools for liberation, really. Tools to help you see and reframe those limiting beliefs that hold you back. Tools to take full responsibility for your experience and to engage with your life, your work, your relationships with so much more passion and purpose. It gives you a language, a structure for moving beyond just worrying about yourself and stepping into a life where you're focused on making a difference.
And for anyone in a leadership role, or for organizations as a whole, this offers a pretty radical alternative model. It shifts leadership away from command and control towards awakening potential in everyone. It's about fostering genuine psychological safety, where people feel safe to learn, to try, to maybe even fail occasionally in service of growth. It's about unlocking creativity. Ultimately, it's shifting the entire game from just surviving or competing to actively inventing and contributing together. It makes extraordinary results feel, well, possible.
So maybe the question to leave you with as you step back into your day is this: what invented reality, what story you've been telling yourself are you ready to challenge, and what new possibility will you choose to invent starting this week?